my Wednesday night live Stampin'. You're here with Stacey Marsh in the UK. It's Wednesday the 18th of May and it's been a beautiful day here in the UK. Really, really sunny, really warm. We've had a barbecue. Very, very delightful day. So a very happy hello to you wherever you're joining from, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching the replay. Wherever you're watching, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. Subscribe to my channel and you'll see lots of tutorials and notifications for card design, stamping techniques, fancy folds and lots more. So today I'm going to be playing with the Hues of Happiness bundle. I've played with this a little bit so far, mainly with the designer series papers that come as part of the suite, but today I'm going to be mainly playing with the stamp set and showing you a few little techniques that you can do with that. A little bit of simple stamping and a little bit of a more advanced technique with some embossing powders that I hope you'll like. So that's what you'll expect this evening. I've got a very hot cup of tea to keep me going. Do comment along if you can, ask questions, chat. It'll be lovely to spend a bit of time with you all. And yeah, if there's anything that, if you have any questions that I don't answer at all, I will look at those afterwards. And of course, as always, if you wanted to purchase any of the products that I'm using in tonight's video, you can do so at staceymarsh.co.uk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip my camera around and we will make a start. So I hope you're sitting comfortably and we will get going. So, I'm still working on the professional technique to flip my camera around using my computer software. I tried it last week or the week before and I got myself into a lot of trouble, so practice. So this is the stamp set that I'm going to be using. I'm just going to zoom my camera out a bit and I'm going to find you all on my YouTube channel here so I can see your comments. Okay, let's just make sure the volume's turned off. Okay, so I can see a few people have joined. Hi Carol, hi Diane, hi Julie. Thanks for joining me on a Wednesday evening. So this is the stamp set that appears on the front page, front cover of the new annual catalogue that we've had around for just 18 days now, and it's here. So you'll see the suite here. These are the papers within the suite, whereas I'm going to be focusing on the stamp set. So in the back of the catalogue, for those of you that don't know, you have a little index. I'm just going to find the stamps here. So it's Happiness Abounds is the stamp set, and you'll find it on page 109, and here it is in all its beautiful glory. So the stamp set is very much an outline stamp set, so you need to use your imagination when it comes to colour. And there's some beautiful sentiments. I think this stamp set you could probably get away with just this stamp set for sentiments. It's got most of the stamp sets you can probably ever need in your stash, and I'm a huge fan of the mix of fonts as well. I love it when they mix a sort of capital font with a more of a scripted style handwritten font as well. And then it comes with a set of dies. I've shown the dies a little bit before and I'm not going to be focusing too much on those tonight. I'm going to be focusing more on the stamp set. The dies, you have the outline dies to go around all the images, and then you have some really useful dies that will cut out sort of a pattern in the card, and it will also create sort of notebook style strips as well. But more of that as we get going. So to start with tonight, I'm going to make a really simple card, and I'm going to use some white card. Now tonight's cards, I'm going to focus mainly on white card. Just going to turn that around so you can get a little bit more light. And I'm going to cut myself 2 card bases, and I'm going to cut a 10-fold card base. And so I'm going to pop my cardstock in my trimmer on the landscape orientation, so we've got the long edge at the top, and I'm going to score at 14.9 centimetres. Nearly used the cutting blade then, that would have been interesting. And then I'm going to turn it round and line it up at 10.5 centimetres and cut. That will give me 2 card bases which will be just what we need for our card. And I'm going to cut myself a little layer of basic white that I'm going to do my stamping on. Okay, so I'm going to cut this to 10 centimetres by 14.4, and I need 2 of those. So there we have it. Okay, let's just bring in a little bone folder to get some scoring underway. Sorry, my camera has just slipped. Believe it or not, I've been doing this for quite a while, but recently my technical ability seems to have gone to pieces. Right, okay, so I'm scoring, I'm creasing my card with my bone folder. With a tent fold card, I would always recommend doing that, making sure this score line here is nice and crisp. It gives you a really nice clear stand when you place your card up. And then my piece of basic white is going to sit just inside there. Now, I've used thick basic white card for my card base, and that is perfect for stamping on. But I want to give just a little bit more strength to my card. So I'm adding this piece of basic white. But before I add it, I'm going to do my stamping. Okay, so I'm going to pull off some of these flower images, and I'm going to add them to some blocks. Okay. My block is really dirty. I need to have a good clean of my blocks, I think. Okay. How are we doing? Are we all still there? So just adding these to my blocks, and we want some leaves as well. So lots of floral images in this set. And let's choose some colours. So I'm going to start with a really nice, vibrant, polished pink, my favourite pink in the Stampin' Up collection. And I'm going to stamp myself just a couple of pink flowers. Okay, so you can see the stamps produce a really clear image. I've not really used a great deal of pressure on there. I've literally just stamped that really quickly. So it's got a lovely coverage of ink, and it's nice and clear as well. And then let's choose some other colours. So let's go with a little bit of So Saffron. And I'm going to stamp this so that the flowers all sort of intermix. Is intermix even a word? Just sort of overlap. Okay. So that's my So Saffron. Let's go in with Calypso Coral. So we're going nice and bright on this card today. Just going to stamp that once actually. And then I've got another flower here, which I'm going to pop in there. Let's stamp that in some fresh freesia. And then I'm just going to stamp another one down here, I think. Let's go for the yellow again. So I'm not really thinking too much about this. I'm just quite literally stamping. Nice. And let's add some leaves in. So I'm going to go with a Pear Pizzazz. Who doesn't love Pear Pizzazz? So, and then let's go with a brighter green. Let's go with some Parakeet Party for these leaves here. Okay, so there we have a really vibrant background. It's just stamped, there's no colouring, and I'm going to layer that just on there like so. I'm really liking the way that looks so far. It's nice and straightforward. We've used lots of colours, so even if you don't have these colours, you can definitely find some colours in your stash that you can use. And I've mixed a combination there of subtles, brights and in colours as well. So it just goes to show how well our colours all work together as well. So they work really, really nicely. Evening to you, Bev, evening to you, Sandra. And Diane's put that she loves that. Now, to bring this together, I'm going to, like I said before, I'm going to keep it nice and straightforward to get us started. But I am going to pop in a little bit of heat embossing, which is what I think is going to make these colours pop that little bit more. So let's go for, should we go for a happy birthday? What do you reckon? Let's keep it nice, and the number one reason that we send cards is to wish someone happy birthday. So let's go for that. Yeah, let's do that. And I'm going to heat emboss this. So I've got here my trusty embossing buddy, which we're just going to use to remove any static off of our card, like so. And we can stamp that straight on. I'm going to give that a bit of a dip in my embossing powder. And then let's give that a bit of a heat. So what this does is this just cures the embossing powder, makes it nice and shiny, and the white on the black really does pop nicely as well. Go. So that's set really, really well. So we've got a nice scripted happy birthday there, and I am going to cut this out. I'm going to cut it out a little bit more detailed than this. I just want to get rid of that excess card. So actually that would look really nice just cut really randomly and stuck on my card, but we're going to go a little bit fancier than that. So I'm going to fussy cut this sentiment. Now the quality that I'm seeing on my YouTube here isn't the best. What's the quality like for you guys? Just following this round, trying not to cut that dot of the eye off. Oh, it's good. That's good, good, good. We are still waiting for our installation of our fibre broadband. We are about 2.5 months in. So it should have been installed about 2.5 months ago. We've had all the gubbins put in, all the cables. For some reason, it's just not working, which is very, very annoying. Now I've cut that sentiment out, I think it looks a little bit lost on there. So let's do something about that. Let's grab a punch. If in doubt, grab a punch. Now this punch is quite old. but I can't bear to part with it at all. How does everyone feel about circle punches? I'm still obsessed with mine. I can't get rid of it. It's well used. Look, I'm missing the little clip on the back. So let's go for a little bit of a circle. Now it still looks a bit lost on there. We don't want to lose too much of that. So I'm going to grab my trimmer and I'm going to cut this in half. Quality is fine there. That's good to know. Thank you, Sandra. Someone has put love those colours together and someone's put love it. That's really, really kind. Thank you. So I'm just cutting my circle into a semicircle. It's not exact, but now when I put this on my card, it just gives it a little bit more of a focus. I'm going to raise that slightly, but let's grab some twine to put around this as well. I do love a bit of twine, especially a bit of linen thread. If Stampin' Up ever get rid of linen thread, I will probably cry. Okay, we've got linen thread in here. Here's linen thread. Let's use that. Okay. So I'm going to tie this around. Okay, now you'll obviously be a little bit more careful with your twine. I'm just going to stick that down. Now, for those of you that have followed me for a while, you will know that I'm a big fan of washi tape. Now this week I went through my barn and found all my washi tape. Look at it all. Makes me so happy. It's all in a jar. I can see it all and it makes me a very happy girl. Very easily pleased. So I'm just going to use a little bit of washi tape to stick this down. Washi tape is great for when you want to keep things in place. Now obviously no one's going to see the back of this card because it's going to be stuck down. So I'm quite happy to use washi tape here. Just going to add this to my card like so. Now I don't want to bring in too much more colour, which is why I've used a neutral colour here for the washi tape, and I'm going to pull that tight again, and then I'm going to stick a little bit of this washi tape down just so that it stays in place. Okay, now let's put some dimensionals on the back of this. I want some regular dimensionals, not little ones. Here they are, always at the bottom of the pile. They should really be on the top, shouldn't they? And I'm lining that up just so that it sits above there ever so slightly. Now let's tie myself a nice little bow. And I'm going to make my bow sit just at the edge of that semicircle. Curly, curly washi tape. Now, to take away the curl, just run the linen thread kind of between your fingers, and it takes away the curl from when it's been on the reel. I'm faffing with this now, aren't I? That was a nice bow and I just ruined it. I need my nails cutting. I'm due to go to have them sorted out on Friday, but they've got so long. Can't craft with long nails. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that there for the moment, and then we've got this little sentiment which we can put just across there like so, and I think just adding that little bit of detail there with the semicircle just lifts it ever so slightly, but doesn't take anything away from that lovely stamping that we've done. What do we think? And then I'm just going to pop that on there and then trim off my little tails of my bow. And then to finish it off, I'm going to add a few little gems, I think. What do we think, though? Do we think yay? Do we think nay? Okay, now, gem-wise, I'm just seeing what I've got in my little stash. With some of these, and I'm not sure if these are still current. I haven't gone through my gems yet, my embellishments, to see which ones are still current and which ones aren't, which ones have retired. I really must do that. These are the iridescent rhinestones, so these are nice and clear with a little bit of sparkle. Do like a little bit of sparkle. Just going to pop a few of these just sort of randomly on my card. Let's use some of these big ones. Let's put the big one in there, in the pattern. So there we have it. That is our first card of the evening, all made, all complete. Just need to do my little piece for inside. So this piece here, the back is, it's only one sheet of card. Now I find when you're doing a 10-fold card, to get it so it stands nicely, you need to make sure it's evenly weighted. So I've got 2 pieces of card there, the card base and then the piece on top. So I need to add this second piece in as well. Now what's even better about doing all that stamping on the front is doing a little bit more stamping in the middle. So let's just do a little bit more stamping inside to bring that, to finish that off. I'm just going to add not too much. I need to remember which colours I used with which stamp. Here we go, this one here. And I'm sure it doesn't matter too much if we don't get it quite the same. But we'll try, hey? I've got a little bit of Calypso coral here for this one. And then we've got a little bit of fresh freesia. I do enjoy a fresh freesia colour. And I'm not a massive purple fan in my crafting. Lovely. And then one last little leaf in Pear Pizzazz. And there we have it. That's our inside piece. Just layered together, and we can pop that inside our card to finish it up. Ta-da! Just like that, all finished. I'm really pleased with that. I think that's come out really nice. You could easily turn that into a different occasion card just by switching out the greeting, and I think that's really, really nice. So that is our first card of the evening all done. Let's make a second card, and I promised you a little bit of heat embossing. So one of my favourite techniques and one of my favourite products to use in my card making is vellum. I'm a massive advocate for vellum. A lot of people say to me, how do you use it? What do you do? Well, this is a good technique to use. I'm going to show you a few little techniques with it. So let's cut this down so that it sits on the front of a card. And again, I'm keeping with white on white. So I am going to cut this down so it's the same measurement as that piece of white on that first card, which is 10 centimetres by 14.4 centimetres. Okay. So let's pop that down there. And then we're going to heat emboss all over this. Let's grab our first mark, and we want to just clear off some of our stamps. I'm going to stamp with all of these different images. So I'm just clearing off any excess ink. I should use my Stampin' scrub, but I'm sure you'll forgive me. Okay, so the most important thing when you're working with vellum, it can get very staticky. So I am going to heat emboss onto one side. So I'm going to do this in sections because otherwise we will just get into a real mess. So you can just about see where you've stamped, and actually it helps a little to have a little bit of coloured ink there because it just helps you see it that little bit better. So I'm just mixing and matching these images. Trying not to, which ones have I done? I've done 4. Trying not to overlap them if I can. Okay. This is where it helps to have your embossing powder in a larger container, okay? It gives you that little bit more control and makes it less messy. So that's a nice coverage of embossing powder there. Can you see that? It's nice and powdery. And let's just heat this. And it's beautiful. White embossing powder on vellum is just lovely. Absolutely love this technique. It's really, really effective. And you get a really lovely shine on that embossing powder as well. So can you see that there? It's really pretty, isn't it? So we're going to just carry on, just making sure that's set. Yeah, set. And we now can emboss on the rest. So it's almost like we're creating our own patterned paper. And at the moment it's clear, but we're going to change that as well. Right, so that's our last little bit. So let's repeat this. Let's dip this into our embossing powder. Try not to get too mucky. And then repeat. So we're just going to heat this again. That looks good to me. There we have it. So we've got our lovely embossed piece now. If we bring in our card base, so the one that we cut at the beginning of this video, it does look lovely on there, but it looks a bit lost. I think it needs some colour. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a bit of colour to this. And I'm going to do this with my stamping blends. You might be thinking, really? But yes, I'm going to use my Stampin' blends, and I'm going to use some fresh freesia, and some Highland Heather. Okay, so we're going to use 2 colours. Now, what you want to do is we don't want to change the white embossed look. What we're going to do is we're going to colour on the reverse of it. Okay, now because the because the vellum is not porous, you're not going to get any, it's not going to soak in as such. Okay, I'm just going to colour this. I'm going to colour over all my flowers, but I'm not going to colour them in very specifically. Okay, just going for a bit of a brushed look. Now you want to be really careful that you don't sort of touch the ink, because it's going to take a moment or two to dry. Okay, so I'm starting with the lighter colour, and if we turn that over, can't really see it very much, can you? It's really subtle, and this is where the magic happens. So we're going to go in with the dark, and what the dark does is it just sort of moves the colour around. So you don't really get a blend as such. Oh. And you're just going to keep going over that until you're happy. So you're not colouring with them in the same way that you would normally do, but it's just adding a little bit of colour. Can you see that now? It's really starting to build. So then I'm going to take a sort of darker one, and this is dark Highland Heather, and I'm going to add a little bit of shading to the sort of centre areas of my flowers. That's better. So the ink, it doesn't necessarily blend, it just sort of moves around. You can add some sort of colour around the sort of edges as well. I'm just going over a couple of times until I'm happy. Okay, and then when you turn it over, you get a sort of two-tone effect. Can you see that? Is that showing clearly on there? So I'm just going to turn that back over and go over a few more pieces. So you can just take a darker colour as well. Oh, my Blackberry Bliss pen has malfunctioned. Let's use the light one. Like so. So it looks really messy on the back, but when you actually add it on, it looks really quite nice. Now what you can do, if you think you've added too much, is you can use the colour lifter, and it will just move some of that colour around, and it will soften the edges. So you get another totally different look. And colour lifter does exactly what it says. It just lifts the colour off, and it's really helpful when you're blending. I have about 4 or 5 of these. and they last really well. Well, the more you use them, obviously, the less they'll last. They do last really well. Okay, so there we have our muted roses and flowers all complete. So now I can go ahead and I can stick that down. Now my recommendation for sticking this down is to make sure you don't put any glue over the areas where your colouring is, because what it will do is it will change the colour. It will alter it, and you don't want that. So I'm just adding little dots of wet glue. Sandra's put, love that technique. Carol's put, great technique. It looks so delicate. It does, doesn't it? And I love this sort of look. Now just hold that down in place. Now obviously the good thing is you're not going to damage any of your colouring, because your colouring is on the underneath side of that vellum, so that it's protected by that lovely embossing. Now, do you remember the semicircle? I remember it, but do I know where I've put it, is the question. I don't know where I've put it. So we're going to use the other piece of that semicircle that I used earlier. So just think this is the other piece, rather than me cutting a new one. And we're going to do exactly the same as we've done on this one, except we're not going to add the twine, okay? So I'm going to pop this onto a dimensional. Like so. And then we're going to do a little bit of heat embossing again, and we're going to change the sentiment this time. We are going to have, which one should we have? You, congratulations, or sending many thanks for all you do. Let's have sending many thanks for all you do. I really like that sentiment. And we want our piece of black card again, so that it pops nicely. Let's give it a little brush with our embossing buddy. I think I could keep going with this stamp set. I feel quite inspired now. So the good news is this stamp set and dies and designer series paper, so the whole collection, the whole suite, will be the focus of my June card class, which I will be busy designing over the next few days, ready to release next week. My May card class, for those of you that are watching, is due to go in the post on Friday, Saturday, so keep an eye out for that. Unless you're obviously coming to the in-person one, then I will see you on Monday. Okay, so let's just trim this down again. I'm excited to film all my videos for May's card class. It is a whopper. It's 2 suites in one class, and probably some of my favourite cards that I have ever made. I'm really excited to get that out to you all. If you'd like some more information on my card classes, you can find that over on my website, which is staceymarsh.co.uk. They tend to come out around the end of the month, and then they get posted sort of mid-month to everybody. Okay, so there we have sending many thanks for all you do. Now I think that could do with a bit of something under it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie myself a bow, but on the roll. Cut that off about there. And then I'm going to pop that on there like so. Stick that down with a glue dot. Glue dots are your best friend when you're sticking bows and trims down. And then I'm going to stick that over the top, just that we've got a little bit of linen, a little bit of thread there. I do like a bit of thread on my cards. And I'm going to use a little mini glue dot here. Just going to hold that in place for a moment. That's it. So there we have card number 2. Again, I'm just going to add a few little gems on that card, and I think these will really look pretty on this card. The shine on these is really lovely. Okay, so there we have that side all complete. Now we just need to do our piece for the centre. I'm going to bring in my piece of white card that we had at the beginning, cut that down. So the measurement I'm going for here is 14.4 centimetres along the length by 10 centimetres along the width. And rather than doing any stamping on this one, I'm just going to go ahead and stick it in to the centre of the card. Like so. And there we go. So there are my 2 cards using the Happiness Abounds stamp set. We've got 2 very, very different looking cards. I'd love to know which one is your favourite, so pop that in the comments if you wish. I actually think my favourite is the first one. I really like the colours that I've gone for there. I'm loving the white space. Someone once told me never be afraid of the white space on your cards, and it's really, really stuck with me. So my favourite, I definitely think, is this one here. I think it'll be great for it to be switched up with different colour schemes, different sentiments. But I do really like the details on here and the texture that we've got on that card as well. So that's it for me this evening. Thank you so much for spending a bit of your Wednesday evening with me. I do love having some live stamping time with you all. My next live will be on Monday evening at 8 o'clock on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook by searching for Stampin with Stacey Marsh. It will have the same profile picture. So once you find me, give me a follow. And if you wanted to purchase any of the items that I've used in any of these cards, they can be purchased at staceymarsh.co.uk. Don't forget, we've got the joining offer at the moment, which is just amazing. Here in the UK until the end of May, you can purchase £130 worth of product for just £99, and Stampin' Up will throw in an in-colour product pack, which includes the ink pads, the cardstock and the designer series paper and some grid paper for free, and it's worth £62.50, so it's an absolute bargain of a deal. And you can also find out information on that under the join section for the starter kit on my website. So that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much again. I'm going to enjoy reading back some of your comments. If you have any questions, pop them on and I will try to get to them afterwards. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you all very, very soon. Bye for now.